各位记者朋友，大家
Good afternoon. Welcome to today's press briefing. Questions, please.
谢谢发言人。总台央视记者提问。据报道，北约秘书长斯托尔
CCTV is reported that NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg told a press conference in a run-up to the NATO summit that NATO's global partnership will be one of the topics for the summit. He said that the Ukraine crisis shows that our security is not regional but global. We need close cooperation with Indo-Pacific. NATO will work with Australia, ROK, Japan, and New Zealand to discuss cooperation on Ukraine so as to fight against authoritarian forces including Russia, Iran, DPRK, and China. What's China's comment? As a Cold War legacy and the world's biggest military alliance, NATO, while on the one hand claims itself to be a regional defensive alliance, but on the other hand keeps breaching its boundary, expanding its mandate, stoking confrontation, bullying others, and practicing double standards. NATO pursues its so-called security at the cost of others' security, and this move has put the region and the wider world at stake. China firmly opposes NATO vilifying, attacking, and scapegoating China. We oppose NATO taking China as an excuse to expand its presence in the Asia-Pacific and destabilize the region. China is a force for global peace, a contributor to global development, and a defender for international order. Our objective and just position and constructive role that China has played has been widely recognized by the international community. We urge NATO to correct its wrong perception of China, discard the Cold War mentality and zero-sum game mentality, stop acting as a scaremonger on security issues, stop creating imaginary enemies, stop forming exclusive groupings under the pretext of collective defense, and instead it needs to take concrete actions to promote global peace, stability, and development. Next one, please.
韩国中央日报
According to ROK media, China recently issued an ultimatum to the DPRK authorities asking them to get all DPRK workers in China to be back in the DPRK. Is the report true? Recently, there have been frequent reports that the DPRK-China relations are different from those in the past. How would China comment on that?
说有你提到
I didn't heard what you said. China and the DPRK are close neighbors connected by mountains and waters. We have long-standing, traditional, friendly, cooperative ties. Recently, ROK media outlets have been commenting on China-DPRK relations from time to time, including some paranoid guesses and hypes. We hope that relevant media outlets can be professional, run stories based on facts, and don't make news like fictions. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。湖北广电记者提问：我们注意到
Hubei Media Group. We noted that China has recently been a quite popular destination for foreign tourists. Many have posted their experience on social media. Numbers show that China travel has been a top trending search on multiple global social media platforms. What's your comment? It's great to see that China travel boom has recently trended on the internet. Data released by competent Chinese authorities show that in the first half of this year, China received 14.635 million foreign travelers, an increase of 152.7% on year. Among them, 8.542 million enjoyed visa-free policy, an increase of 190% year-on-year. As China rolls out the visa-free policy for more countries and improves measures to facilitate cross-border travel, on a whim travel to China is not a dream for foreigners. We've seen many videos shot by foreign travelers. These video clips from the scene give a glimpse of China's vibrancy as it is. Just zoom in, glowing night lights around Liangma River in Beijing, homemade meals at restaurants in Shanghai, mind-blowing takeout services by drone in Shenzhen and high-tech self-driving taxis and suspended monorails in Optic Valley, Wuhan, a tech hub, have been very trendy on the internet. Statistics show that 86% of the foreigners who have visited China found the payment more user-friendly. A swipe of the phone has been a new fashion for foreign friends in China. Competent authorities in China expect that a growing popularity of traveling to China in the second half of this year will be a fact, and the China travel boom is fueled by China's unique charm and, more importantly, an open, inclusive society and hospitality of the Chinese people. It's also the result of China's continued efforts to expand high-standard opening up. We will continue to embrace the world with open arms, remain a stronger boost to the world through our development, and make cross-border travel more vibrant and frequent. Welcome to China, that's our message to friends from other countries, and enjoy the scenery in your stay here. We hope that all of you can travel to China. Next one, please.
Question from Reuters.
路透社提问：一艘俄罗斯轻型护卫舰和中国军舰在菲律宾海巡逻时进行了训练演习，这是根据俄罗斯塔斯社的报道。联合训练包括检查一艘可疑船只，能否介绍一下此次演习的有关情况？
我不了解你提到的。
I'm not familiar with that and would like to refer you to competent authorities. Next one, please.
晚上好，塔斯社记者提问。
The Chinese Northeast and Russian Far East Intergovernmental Cooperation Committee, the fifth meeting of the committee was held. Do you have any more details, and what is China's expectation for regional cooperation between the two countries?
We noted that China stands ready to carry out subnational cooperation with Russia based on mutual respect, win-win cooperation, and mutual benefit. As of the specifics of the meeting, I would refer you to competent authorities. Next one, please.
下午好，法新社提问。
AFP, Hungarian Prime Minister Orban visited China for talks on Ukraine. What do you think the role he played in settling the Ukraine crisis?
Yesterday, President Xi Jinping met with Prime Minister Orban, and we have released a readout, which you may refer to during his visit. He exchanged views with China on the Ukraine crisis, informed us of his recent visit to Ukraine and Russia. China commended Hungary's constructive efforts in promoting a political settlement of the Ukraine crisis. China calls on relevant parties to abide by the three principles, namely no expansion of the battlefield, no escalation of fighting, and no provocation by any party. China will continue to promote talks for peace in its own way and play a constructive role for the political settlement of the Ukraine crisis. Next one, please.
谢谢法新社，法新社记者提问。
RIA Novosti. I have a question also on Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor's visit to China. After the visit, what measures will China take to resolve the Ukraine crisis? Will China send its special envoy Li Hui to visit Russia, Ukraine, and Ukraine again to resolve the crisis? As I just now said, Prime Minister Orban's trip to China, we released the readouts about that. China commends Hungary's efforts to seek a political solution to the Ukraine crisis. China will continue to actively promote talks for peace in its own way and decide on the next steps in light of how the situation may evolve. In this process, China is ready to maintain communication with relevant parties and jointly create favorable conditions for a political settlement. Next question, please.
Ukrinform News Agency.
乌通社昨天，俄罗斯军队对乌克兰城市进行了大规模导弹袭击，包括乌克兰的首都基辅，摧毁了乌克兰唯一一家治疗患有特别严重疾病的儿童的医院。由于俄罗斯的空袭，包括儿童在内的近40人死亡，200多人受伤。联合国秘书长、多个国际组织和许多国家谴责俄罗斯对平民的导弹袭击，认为该袭击犯下了战争罪。中方对此次血腥的袭击有何反应？中方能否谴责此类袭击？能否向乌克兰遇难者表示哀悼？ China's position on the Ukraine issue is consistent and clear. Relevant parties should promote de-escalation of the situation in a responsible way and accumulate conditions for an early ceasefire and political settlement. Recently, China and Brazil jointly issued the 6th Command Standings on the political settlement of the crisis, which has received a positive response from over 100 countries. The first Command Standing is to call on all relevant parties to observe 3 principles, namely to no expansion of the battlefield, no escalation of fighting, and no provocation by any party. All parties should remain cool-headed and exercise restraint and avoid taking any action that may further escalate the situation. Next question, please.
Bloomberg News. I have a question following.
彭博社关于北约在亚洲的合作，你称北约秉持冷战思维，那么朝鲜和俄罗斯是否也形成了一个冷战联盟？中方表示这是2个主权国家之间的交往。那么为什么俄罗斯和朝鲜秉持冷战思维，中方没有任何的评论，而北约做了类似的事情，而中方对此进行了反对。
在俄朝之间双边交往的问题。
On bilateral interactions between Russia and the DPRK, China has stated clear its position. It is bilateral interaction between 2 sovereign states. And on NATO, I think in my previous answer I made it also very clear. We hope that NATO can discard Cold War mentality and zero-sum game mentality. We hope NATO can stop creating exclusive groupings and bloc confrontation under the pretext of collective defense. And we hope that NATO can contribute to global peace, stability, and development. Next one, please.
The Australian government today will.
澳大利亚公布了一个报告。 美国、英国、加拿大、新西兰、日本、韩国和德国都认同了这个报告，称 APT-40多次对印太地区的政府进行攻击。你对此有何评论 ？Relevant parties is hyping up so-called Chinese cyber attacks again in an attempt to smear China on cybersecurity. China firmly opposes this. Actually, over the past month, relevant Chinese institutions have released multiple reports, including an analysis report on relevant U.S. APT groups, revealing in detail how the U.S. government has long been spreading disinformation, hyping up so-called Chinese cyber attacks threat, while using its predominance and technological advantages to carry out massive cyberspace surveillance all over the world. However, the U.S. side never has given a reasonable explanation on that, who are behind the scene for the surveillance on its allies and partners, and the worldwide indiscriminate cyber attacks, who are the source of cyber deterrence strategy around the world, who are the greatest threat to global cybersecurity. I believe the international community knows well about the answer. Yesterday, we stated our position on the U.S.'s disinformation campaign against China by framing China for being responsible for Wat's typhoon, only one day after the Chinese cyber attacks news emerged. Such coincidence makes people wonder if certain country is covertly manipulating the matter to divert attention. We urge relevant parties to see through the situation and make the right judgment, and avoid serving as the cat's paw and ending up hurting their own interests. Next question, please.
还有其他问题吗？
Anything else? Then let's call it a day. Thank you for coming.